a pleasure to have you here and hear what you have to say.
Yeah. So you can also, if you didn't want to be recorded, you could turn your screen off and change your name to someone else. So you could become a superhero or whatever you want. There's just a little icon in the corner that allows you to change your name. So you want to be playful. So thanks to Debs, she reached out. I've got the spirit at the moment of saying yes. And if you saw the amount of yeses, it's a bit like the Jim Carrey movie. So lots of yeses. And just a couple of things that are arising that will really come into the talk today is that science and spirituality used to work harmoniously. You know, they used to work hand in hand, and we're talking quite a long time ago now. And really the drive should be for each of us in the work that we do is to begin to bring the essence of that back. People talked about getting grounded, and how can we do that? Well, whether you're doing angelic readings or astrological readings, or you're doing NLP or coaching, I encourage you to measure everything with the client. In fact, ask the client to measure everything, because the measurement is the scientific element that's being lost. And I'm fortunate to work, for those of you who have even seen or met my teacher, this super high on the planet human being. And he was born a scientist and into a scientific family, was blessed with an introduction to spirituality. But then at a young age, even though he was the top student in university, he decided to head for a spiritual path. And the reason he did that is because he knew that he couldn't find the truth inside of a scientific path. And the reason he knew he couldn't find the truth was because science was after the money. So when people were submitting papers, the papers would be skewed towards, you can't say that because we won't get the funding. You can't include that because we won't get the funding. So sadly, you know, science at a certain point deviated away from what we might call the truth, which is another subject, because, you know, everything's changing moment to moment. Could do a whole talk on that. So therefore, the truth is also shifting moment to moment. That's just one to take into your cave to sit and ponder. The truth is not necessarily stable in the way that some people would like to consider it. And in fact, that also, you know, creates dogmas and blind alleys, which again creates a lot of conflicts in certain people's lives. I digress slightly. It's another talk that we could do. Yeah, I want to give you this spirit of measurement and of being grounded. And I was watching Maharishi recently, and Maharishi, this is an older film, and actually it was in the Second World War that it was filmed. So when you think about your surroundings at the moment during lockdown, and some people are saying, I feel very lucky, I feel very fortunate, I'm just going to suggest it reflects your inner space. It reflects exactly who you are and where you are. And I was there going, there's Maharishi in the Himalayas. And it's a perfect setting. The sun's coming up every morning. The skies are blue. It's just a beautiful environment. And, you know, what came to me was this is exactly, so we are where we're meant to be all the time, getting the lessons that we're meant to be getting. And that could be whether we're, like, let's say, for example, homeschooling at the moment, and the universe is calling us forward to learn to find contentment inside of interacting with these beautiful beings that we've brought into the world. And so if that's, say, stretching someone, it's like, well, what if I'm feeling frustration? You know, I can't wait for it to be over. You think about the way that the person's interacting with time. You know, they're rushing it away, they're pushing it away. Whereas we'd really want to bring them back to the idea of Maharishi and this element of us, you know, being able to find who we really are inside of the moments that life's giving us. So just a bit of a forerunner. I'm going to encourage you all, because I want to tune into you guys and girls at the level that you're at. And I give lots of different talks to say, stretch yourself by measuring, and then be open to clients saying didn't work. And you're like, fantastic, because I'm a scientist. I'm into spirituality, but I'm a scientist. That's great that it didn't work. And what I noticed in the community, like the one beautiful one we've got here, people tend to lean towards what works for them. And it's a bit like, yeah, okay, it worked for you, which is amazing. Yeah, it might not work for the next person. Someone mentioned individuality, which is where my presentation's going to start. I'm going to spoil it now by adding some slides. So let me, so whilst the slides are coming up, because I know we've got a set amount of time today, is think about your individuality and uniqueness. And, you know, when we think about the 7.5 billion beings on the planet, you know, you are in and of yourself, unique. How do we know that you're unique? Well, you could just go for the simplicity of the, you know, the fingerprint or the thumbprint, which again, we're measuring because we want to measure your uniqueness. But we could also go for, you know, the print of your toes, which are also unique. Or we could go to the eye and we could look at the iris, and everyone's individual iris is unique. But actually, even more fascinating than that, the creator decided, I'm going to make you even more unique, because there's going to be points where I want to shake you up to realize your uniqueness. And in fact, both of your irises are different, and they're both unique. So we could be up to 1 in, you know, 15 billion at that point. So and so the story goes. And then there's other elements of uniqueness. The outline of the year, by the way, mine has been slightly changed by playing rugby, silly game for young boys. Yeah, you know, that inside of, you know, so it's, but our ears are even unique. If we traced the images, you find no two ears the same, and it goes on. And then we even get into the uniqueness of the individual cells in our body. Like, consider this, like, you know, people go, well, you know, all your cells are dying and recreating, and every so many years you've got a completely new body. But how do the cells that are heart cells know to go to the heart? How do the cells that are liver cells know to go to the liver? How do the cells that are cells for the eyes know to go to the eyes? So when we think about our purpose and our path, you may begin to realize, so I was born in a certain time space coordinate, which, you know, astrologically, you can be given a lot of help to understand that, and the interplanetary connection, which can all be measured. I was born in this unique time and space. And then not only am I unique, which is demonstrated, but people have lost connection with themselves, remember? That's why we've all got the work that we've got. As we reconnect people to their uniqueness and their brilliance, then we say to them, and every cell inside of you is being given a unique purpose, hence the heart cells, the eye cells, the liver cells, all the other cells. So it sort of goes in flow, from the point of view of divine purpose, individual path, uniqueness. There's potentially, I'm only going to say potentially because I'd like you to measure it, something unique that we are being called to, that we should be doing. Now, I do another talk on stress, and the thing I lean towards is the only reason stress shows up in your world is because you're off your path. So stress is calling you back to your path. It's saying, well, you're off, you're in the bushes, you need to get back on your path. And so therefore, you know, we weren't just left like individual cells to appear and go, hang on, am I meant to be helping the eye, or am I meant to be helping the nose to smell, or and then we've got all these confused cells gravitating in our body, you know, that are getting stressed out, and they're all screaming, I don't know where I'm meant to be, what I'm meant to be doing. Now take that up to the level of us as human beings. We've got the same things built into us. We've got stress built into us, which I believe is a mechanism to bring you back to the path, to say, this is what you're meant to be doing. So when you're in flow and harmony and balance, and you're on your path, that you're on the path. But when you're out of that and you're like, oh, this is confusing, this person's let me down, and things are all over the place, or you bang in the center of the Second World War, you're out of balance, you're off your path. So we want to be more like Maharishi, and less like the figures that we could bring to mind with regards to the war, which is full of chaos and stress and dilemmas. Anyway, I'm going to fly through some slides just to hopefully balance this. And so you should all be able to see my screen at this point. And this was another talk that I did that is recorded if you wanted to get your hands on it. So Pantanjali, another great teacher, thousands of years ago, in his Yoga Sutras, actually wrote about the way that we should lead our lives. And what's interesting is that my teacher said, look, Greg, he didn't write it for then. He wrote it for now. Just to forewarn, if you want to go and sort of start to look at more, we're talking about an area now called the 8 limbs of yoga. And the first 2 limbs are the yamas and the niyamas, which are our inner attitudes, and also then how we show up in the world. And it's such a beautiful path. It challenges deeply, and it's like an onion. You've got to begin to peel the layers away, which, if we think about it scientifically, measure your journey through the layers. And we actually run a course on this. You could get lost in the bushes. You could go on YouTube and get some facts and stuff. There's a lot of misteachings, I would say, on YouTube and some of the literature that I've read. The purest version I've seen, I received from my teacher, but I want to give you the orientation so that you know exactly where I'm coming from. So we talked about you being unique, 1 in 7 to 7.5 billion. And Pantanjali leans, first of all, into kindness to self and others. And, therefore we need to stop the self-sabotage. And that might sound obvious. And it's like, well, how can we, really go about that? Well, we've got to look at solving the root causes of all our problems. We've got to stop this frame that we've got in the Western world, which you've all heard repeated over and over again. It's become a soundbite, head for the root cause, don't just deal with the symptoms. Yet this continues to perpetuate. What might some of those reasons be? Well, if we solve stress as an example, and we say, oh, look, it's easy, it's actually there to help you get on your path. All of a sudden, Big Pharma doesn't sell a load of tablets. It doesn't cause a load of side effects, and therefore it doesn't sell even more tablets, solving the side effects. So we as beings of light have got to get out and say to people, look, it's kindness to self and others. It is, where should we be starting? Always with ourselves. Okay, we've really got to tune into being kind to ourselves. So the first teachings, which I'm going to fly through, is about kindness to self and others. And really, there's no upper limit to this. It's not our darkness that we fear, it's our light. Go to that famous yet beautiful poem. People fear the light. That's why you're not playing full out. That's why I'm not playing full out. I'm pushing myself. I'm saying yes to things. I'm getting on with things. I'm driving the standard. I'll get in the lake a lot of days, no matter the temperature, break the ice to get in. I'm learning about my mind, my biology. What am I doing? I'm learning to understand and develop ways that I can be kind to myself. And then in turn, through that resonance that I found, I can extend my kindness. If I haven't found it in myself, I'm telling you something that I've learned in a book. And then at this level, a saying you may or may not be familiar with is we can learn to turn poison into nectar. What does that mean? It means that we teach people to get out of the head and into the heart, because it's the heart that turns poison into nectar. And I'm talking about any poisonous thought that you've got. Could be death of a loved one, breakup, some of the terrible things that are going on. If we really learn to access the heart takes it over, the heart will deal with it. And I've had many magical experiences of this now. Second step is living in truth and integrity. So it would be good for you to, even on yourself, do a what I would call a self-honesty audit, nice and simple. Why? Because we want to measure everything. Okay, how true? It's an intuitive thing. How truthful am I being? How do we measure that, Greg? Well, come on. Where's the ceilings? Where's the boundaries? Where's the blockages? We did a talk at the weekend. Jennifer was there. You know, where are the elephants in the room? The things, they've been around for a long period of time now. You need to clear them out. And you know, come on. If we clear them out for ourselves as individuals, then we can get into our own truth and integrity. Again, we find resonance in ourselves with truth and integrity, and then we can go and share that with others. What does that mean? It means going deeper. Every one of us, beauty is you're all on the call today. You know, where's the rest of the 7.5 billion? We really need to be doing the spring clean for those of you who are experiencing this spring in the air and clearing out, you know, so that we individually take on our responsibility. We drive deeper into that. And then we can, in these steps, it becomes about living a life of honor. And this life of honor is learning to put yourself in the right place at the right time. That means, like, are you in a job or a role that you shouldn't be in? Are you doing a job or a role that someone else should really be doing? Are you stuck in your head, which means you're in the wrong place because you should be in your heart? So this is deeper and more introspective. It's not just about, I'm in the kitchen, should be in the living. No, it's obviously much broader and deeper than that. And then we start to question, you know, are we like Maharishi? Have we found the place? Have we become a resonant beacon? Are people attracted to us as opposed to us maybe having to push or chase? Or, you know, even the question of, you know, why don't people come and, you know, do all my courses? Or, you know, why aren't more people signing up to do these things? But that becomes part of your introspective search. Just the universe is going, I've got your attention here. Actually, you need to become better at, you need to open your heart more, you need to clear your mind. So when we get to live in a life of honor, we become committed to being in the right place at the right time. And so, but it's very practical, you know, this orientation to, come on, drag them back out the bushes, let's get on the path. No, not that way, this way. And so when people are measuring and they're telling you that they're finding flow and openness and they're waking up, then, you know, you're really helping and supporting them. So, and this, as I've said, there becomes about helping people to shift their perspectives on all life situations. We talked a little bit about homeschooling earlier as an example. I can be in frustration, maybe even anger, sadness, you know, the state of the world, or I can be in love and connection and joy and opportunity to connect with my children and be there. What does that signify? It's a path. It's a path to joy and connection from, you know, sadness, anger, fear, guilt, whatever those places are that people are residing as they consider homeschooling. So then the next thing we get to, and, you know, I practice tantra, magical thing, even if you're getting it wrong, it's wonderful to practice. Why did it's conscious control of the energy? And what did Buddha say? Buddha said, look, if there was any energy higher than sensual energy, I would never have reached enlightenment. So, you know, I'm into this idea of aim high, which we'll come to at the end. Pantanjali was teaching that. And this might not be your aim high for now, but it could be. And so through that, we are going to learn and understand about conscious control of the energy. So when we realize that, it's like we've got to learn to, you know, fix the engine and stop energy leaking. What does that mean? Well, it means that we're not able to manifest in the world to use our body for the magnificent reasons it was created. Why? Because we're told we're less than. We're not taught about ancient yogic tantras and treaties and systems that mean that we can enter samadhi, higher states of consciousness, through meditation, through the breath, through sacred sensuality, through connection and touch. No, we're masked up, we're told to distance, it's a you know, at that level it's a travesty. Yeah, at another level it's an awakening and a calling to say, what have we forgotten, what have we missed? And Mr. Pantanjali is there to tell us, look, this is what you've missed. And then I put at the bottom, you know, so therefore learn to ride wild horses and the rest is easy. You know, push yourself a bit, maybe get a buddy, get someone who can keep you safe. Like if we were rock climbing, then it's good to go with someone to belay, to, you know, put the necessary holds and things in. But we've got to, you know, in this group, you're the awakened ones. Let's push the standard. Let's push the level. And hopefully in my talk today, you'll feel a little bit pushed by me. Resist, refuse, by all means. And for those areas that you're like, no, I'm going to focus on any one or more, feel pushed. Next thing's letting go of the excess baggage. We've got to clear out our garbage and our bullshit. And this is the principle of non-accumulation. We've accumulated stuff. You know, I've recently transformed the old family home into a retreat center. Then things got a bit shut down or went a bit crazy, which is great. I'm just sat there chilled. Yeah, it'll come back round again. Retreats will start. Magic will occur there. But what did I need to let go of? Well, I've got a load of rooms. It's accumulation. You know, the rooms are an accumulation. It's not mine anyway. I'm only passing through. I'm just, you know, whether I own it or not in the sense of this lifetime, I'm just passing through, but it's excess baggage if I don't share it openly and outwardly. And I'm using this as a sort of a little bit of a challenge to everyone. So let go of the excess baggage, you know, in terms of who we are. You know, what was, you know, the famous saying, be here now, which was made famous through the book by Ramdas. You know, we're now here, we're in the space that we need to be in to discover everything that we need to discover. So, you know, if we let go of the excess, the accumulated excess, we will get back to who we truly are. I found this the hard way, many thousands of miles sitting in the Himalayas with yogis and gurus and whereas you can just sit still and discover it. So we've got to stop this accumulation. But why is the accumulation present to us? It's present to us in the world because it supports big corporates. They want to keep us locked outside, buying, accumulating, because that's what drives this thing called profit. You know, you might go, wow, yeah, it's complete insanity when you think about it at that level. Yeah, to the extent that we do, we all participate. So what have we got to find? The energy again, let go of the baggage, drop the excess, demonstrate that we can do it, and then others will follow. And even in this frame, I'm saying here, when you remove external agitations, which is a slower way, you know, all the clothes that you need to clear out, you need to pay them forward. There's cold people out there who need to be kept warm. You know, maybe you need to make space for your new wardrobe, but whatever it is that needs to go, it really does need to go. But then that's also excess baggage at the level of the mind, the loops that you're on, the constant dramas, and got to get rid of them all. Well, that's internal agitation. So working on the external, it still helps. It's supportive. It's much slower, but it begins to help to clear up your inner world. So next is purification. So we've got to start taking it up levels now. It's like as if that wasn't already enough on the path that you're being called to. We then get to purification, and this purification can be a whole path in and of itself. We are, if you want a metaphor, our aim is to become like the lotus flower. You know, for those of you who've been to India, where does the lotus flower sit? Above all the mucky, dirty water underneath, showing openness and beauty and purity. Again, we could do a whole talk on purification and purity. Just tune into that. You rising yourself up, rising above, following the lessons of the lotus flower. And then from purity, when we've done a lot of clearing out and we've gotten rid of a load of garbage in the earlier teachings of Pantanjali, we get to the area of contentment. And if there was one thing that you took today, take this. Give yourself permission to continually move back to contentment. And then if something's preventing you, you know, that is the impurity. The thing that's blocking you or stopping you constantly moving back to contentment. We are designed to be in contentment. And actually, contentment gives rise to the present moment, because inside of contentment, I'm no longer being drawn into a past that's gone or projecting into a future that may never exist. I'm simply being in contentment. And inside the contentment, we can receive the beauty of the children being home educated, the beauty of the aspirational clients who were showing up with their hearts open or their minds contorted, who were looking for change, and they want you to be a reflection of that. So can we find contentment ourselves in each and every moment? To the extent that we can't, there's work to be done. It's scientific work. What's the work? Measure your levels of contentment. If you're not 100% content, do you wake up content? Like, is your first thought one of contentment? Mine isn't every day. Do you live your life in contentment? Not all the time. This is great. These are tipping us off. These are signs and signals again from, you know, the majestic power that supports us and orientates us to say, come on, there's more. And the more is, it's the inner beauty, the resonance, the radiance. So you've got to learn to get off the golden hamster wheel. Story in and of itself, you know, more, quicker, faster. You guys and girls know all about that. And so therefore, before acting, be content first in every moment. Like, you know, if I'm preparing for this, there were certain stages of preparation that I went through in order to be able to be in contentment, arriving here to communicate with you. Next thing then is we need to go higher. We now need to, all of the things that have gone before, and this is why this is a path, a measured path, a journey, very specific, though full of signposts, signs and signals. And as my teacher said to me, Greg, if you do what I tell you to do, you will reach the top. You've got to learn to follow the steps. What does that require? Discipline and effort. You know, some of you already know, you know, I take on extreme practices at time. We'll do hours of practice a day. I'll also do some extreme things in terms of cold therapies or exposure. But what becomes important inside of the discipline and effort, as I'm sharing those things with you, is we need to get away from the school frame that we were given, where, you know, all these tables and you were top, you were bottom. You know, it's destructive. We should be comparing ourselves to ourselves, driving the uniqueness. So for discipline and effort, aim high. Aim straight for the target that you want. No compromises. If any person, place, or thing is asking you to compromise, we need to learn to say no to compromises. Why? Because we're disciplined and we're putting our effort into what it is that we do. And then we want to go higher again by something I leaned on a little bit at the start, by deepening our enquiry. Just not accepting, you know, my teacher doesn't accept. He grows. And, you know, he sleeps for 4 hours a night. When he does sleep, he can stay up for days back to back, working, writing books, creating. Why? Because he's cleared out his baggage and his garbage. Remember, science is telling us we're only using 3 to 5%. Well, where is the other 95 to 97%? It's buried in what I'm telling you today. So create a new way and approach to learning, not the you know, we've got this post-schooling syndrome for a lot of people. After school, they just stop learning. So be solution focused and, you know, develop an insatiable curiosity. Right, what's Greg talking about? Well, if I just took on purification, or I just took on being truthful in myself, and you become insatiably curious, and yeah, and who's this Pantanjali guy? Where can I learn more? And all of a sudden, this spirit of growth and development, you know, begins to take us over and allows us to go forward. I'm nearly there. So next we go an octave higher, and Pantanjali at the highest level is saying, look, become aware of the open system. The belief in the open system. The universe is expanding. We know that. Well, what does that mean? It's expanding all the time. We are on this, hopefully, you know, upward spiral in terms of our development and growth. The minute we put a lid on it or close it, we restrict, we stop. We want to allow ourselves to realize the beauty and the opportunity for us to grow into who we truly are is limitless. And therefore, hopefully that puts a smile on your face. And on that happy note, I wish you well on your path. Hopefully there's some refinements there for you. Do measure, keep smiling, and have a lot of fun. Thanks for listening.